What's up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm Turbo John. You're on the Turbo John YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to pull the curtain back. I'm going to show you how to go from radials to no prep. This is what you got to do. There's a lot to it, a lot of testing, a lot of things that make a difference. But today, I'm going to show you what I do, what we got to get done in the next few days, so we'll be ready to go dig or die racing in the next few weeks on the back of the track. Check it out, guys. Comment, like, and subscribe. If y'all want to support the channel, head on over to turbojohnracing.com, grab yourself some hats and t-shirts. Christmas time is here. We got some cool things happening on the website, so go get some of those Black Friday deals. And then also don't forget, if y'all want to subscribe to the channel, every Wednesday night we do a live chat. And this live chat is where we talk about my car, we talk about your car, we talk about everybody else's car in a group setting. So if somebody's having problems with something, I'll give you my non-professional opinion. I'll just give you my opinion on what I would do. Been racing for a long time, and we've kind of seen it all. Not the best at it, but I know a little bit about everything. All right, guys, so first thing, we went personal best on radials this past weekend. We haven't been as fast, mile per hour, or ET as what we did this last weekend. It was amazing. We had a really good time. We were at one of our local tracks, and this hot rod is awesome, man. This thing is pretty cool. Big block Chevrolet, 118 turbo, two chassis car. I mean, it is a nice hot rod. And when it sits here like this, man, God, it looks just pretty. Not been a big fan of the all black, but man, it sure does look good. But today, we're going from radials to slicks. And when I say slicks, there's a couple different types of no prep racing. You have front side no prep racing. You have backside no prep racing. What we're going to be getting ready for is backside. We're going to be getting ready for dig or die, Rockingham backside, Super Bowl and no prep. If y'all have never heard of it, you're under a rock. If you have heard of it, I hope to see you there. It's coming up in about 3 weeks. So we're going to be testing for it. We got some stuff to do. We got radials on the car now. Notice the ride height is stupid low in the back. But this is the biggest thing. We got a couple things we're going to do. But this right here, I don't know if y'all notice all this. This is lead. And lead is expensive. It's about $2 a pound last time I bought it. And I made all these bars. So each one of these big bars weighs about 60 pounds. Let's do some math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 of those big bars right there. So 8 times 60. What is that? 480 pounds. Got some little ones here. Got a couple other little ones here and there. We got about 500 pounds of weight that we're going to put in the back. Now, you want to properly secure your weight, but bias is one of the biggest things. So now on radials, this is a big block, iron block. So the weight on this one is pretty heavy. It's pretty nose heavy. It's about 57% with no weight in the car at all. So we don't have any weight in the car now. We took it all out for radials, and it works perfect when the car takes off, does a pass. See the front wheels come up a little bit, and then it's good to go. Now, when we do front side no prep, we put a little bit of weight in the back. So we ended up with 120 pounds in the back here, hanging off the back of the bumper. That works out really good. But for backside no prep, it's about bias, right? So you just got to keep piling on the weight until you get to the right bias. But you can't just pile on weight. There's more to it. You got power management. You have front end in the front of the car. Let me get the hood off real fast. All right, guys, so in the front of the car, we've got TRS front struts. So if y'all don't know who that is, that's Jeff Thomas Racing Service. He is the man. He makes really, really good struts. He makes shocks. If you're in the world where you don't have a strut, you got a shock. These things have about 2 inches more travel than a standard shock. And so a strut, you see most of the shaft is sticking into the body of the strut. So this is going to give us the maximum amount of front end travel. Now you notice these chains. These chains are limiters. So right now for radials, we got it strapped down and we have about 2.5 inches of travel. That's what we got here. So for no prep, for backside, what we're going to do is we're going to completely disconnect this. And when I say completely, I mean it's going to be completely disconnected. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to give it all the travel in the front. We'll strap the chains up so that they're not in anything. I'm going to show you the difference real fast on the difference between the two. I just unstrapped this side. I'm going to leave that side strapped down. And wait till you see the difference on how much travel it actually has. Hang on. All right, boys, that is the difference between radial prep front end travel and non-radial prep. You can see that is a solid, probably 6 inches off the ground. About, I mean, I could measure it, but 5 or 6 inches up. It looks like it's doing a wheelie, just sitting still. And the other side is just barely off the ground. I just got the front end off the ground. That wheel barely is off. So you can see the difference. So one of the things you want to do, now you can go fast without this super long travel stuff, but the super long travel stuff helps. And so it just does. And you see how much shaft is showing in that. It's TRS front struts. That's one of the things you want to do. So I'm going to set this back down, and then we're going to go to the back of the car, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do in the back of the car. All right, guys, so there's a couple things you can do in the back of the car. There's two options, talking about bar angles and talking about anti-squat numbers and pickup location. All that stuff makes a difference. So right now it's set up for radials. So the anti-squat is about 130%, and it's about 30 or 40 inches long. So it's not super long. It's about right in here. So that's the instant center point. There's a lot of good videos out there talking about instant center location, talking about how far it needs to be out to help pick up the weight of the car to transfer it to the back. The ultimate goal is what you're trying to do is take the weight of the car and send it through the springs, and so that it plants on the axle housing. That weight on the axle housing with the shock settings on firm, pretty firm, then what that does is it puts weight on the back tires. So that's the goal. So if you have this thing set up to where your anti-squat is less than 100%, that means the back of the car generally is going to squat. So you're going to need a pretty good spring on it. You're going to need to tighten compression up, because you want, as the front of the car to come up, you want that weight to go on the back of the car, and you want it to press down through the springs. Now, if you have it set up like a radial to where it separates in the back to plant the tire down, then, you know, you kind of have to do it the opposite. So generally you have the extension a little bit softer, and then as the car, the power, the rear end torques up and twists, then that puts the weight down, and basically you kind of lose some of the leverage on the spring. The spring is actually pushing the car up, which what that is doing is putting weight on the back of the car, on the back tire. So that you got to decide on the backside stuff. The backside stuff's a little tricky. If there's a few cars that actually squat out there, most of them don't really do a lot in the back. They just have a lot of weight in it, they look like. But then the fast ones, the real fast ones, Team Denver, if you look at Billy the Kid, if you look at his truck, he's real fast on the backside stuff. Charles, Jarrett, a lot of people, they don't squat in the back. They look like they squat, but if you actually look at the distance between the rim and the body there, when they let go of the trans brake button, it starts actually separating. So they have more than 100% anti-squat generally, and the car is separating in the back and it's trying to work. Every car is different. So you got to play with it. And you see I got springs here. So right now on the car, I've got 60-pound springs. Remember, a 60-pound spring, you got two of them. The weight of the back of the car is going to compress. Basically, it takes 120 pounds to compress my springs on the car there. 1 inch is the way that works out. So these are 14-inch springs. There are 14s on it over there now. They're collapsed like crazy now, which is the way you want to do it on a radial, or when you have, that's just what you got to do. You got to have a super lightweight spring on a radial. But we're going to be putting weight back here in the back. So the back of the car is going to get heavier. If I was to just throw weight in the car right now, it would completely collapse the spring and basically just bottom out the shock. And then you have a solid rear end. That's not going to work. That never works. You see some people, that's what they do. They'll just cram a bunch of weight in it, and then the car is really low in the back. And then so it's really low in the back, but it's just not going to work because nothing is working. Nothing is moving. Nothing is articulating like it needs to. It needs to sweep. So you got to put the springs on it. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to add a bunch of weight. And there's a lot of people that will tell me weight is a Band-Aid, and you don't need that much weight. And, you know, that's their opinion. And if they can make it work on the backside with not a bunch of weight, you know, that's awesome. I cannot. And most people cannot. And the people that are really fast, they don't talk about their weight because they don't want you to know how much they got. So I don't know. I mean, Charles and Team Denver and them, they may only have 2 of those bars in the back of their car. They may not have but 120 pounds in it total, but they may have 700 pounds, or they may have 300 pounds, or they may have 50 pounds. I don't know. You got to test it. You got to practice, and you got to see what works. And all my other cars, you know, that's what worked, is putting a lot of weight in it. So when we built this car, we moved the motor back on this one a little bit So the motor is actually slid back. So with the motor slid back, we were hoping that we weren't going to have to add as much weight. That was the plan. That was the goal. But this iron big block Chevrolet is super heavy. So with it, it's heavy. Even though it's back and we got a short drive shaft, it's, you know, to make it work, it seems like we're going to have to add weight. And the car's, I mean, it's 2,650 pounds now. And like I said, 57% on the nose. So if this was an aluminum block and it was 150 pounds lighter up here, you know, for sure that would be better, because we would be at 53% or so with no weight in the car, and we would be at 2,500 pounds. So that would be awesome starting point, but that's just not where we're at because I don't have an aluminum block. So what I'm gonna do now, jack up the back end, the way we set the shocks up in the back. We got it so that we can easily change springs. So I got the QA1 shocks on the back. We'll take those loose. I'm gonna go ahead and put the 150s on it, and then we'll come back and I'll show you how much it changes the ride height just going from a 60 pound to a 150 pound spring. It's wild. Check this out. Hang on. All right, boys, movie magic. 15, 20 minutes later, we now have a 4-wheel drive. This car is no longer a Mustang drag car. It is now a 4x4. So, man, you know what's funny is that thing, I didn't measure it before, but it is, that's actually about what factory Mustang says that. Wow, that has got some rake to it now. So, you know, and there's some back of the track cars that jack them up way up in the back. They also jack the front way up so that they can get a little bit more leverage. Get the instant center to kind of scoop up under the motor, right? So, got the shocks on full loose, and you want to make sure you do that, because if you don't do that, then, you know, it doesn't really give you a true indication of what's happening. We do have our import wing here. So our buddy Brandon put that on. So it turned out really good. And we are going to actually make it just a tad higher as well. But I got to drill some holes in it to make it so it's more adjustable. So it'll be up a little higher. This one is not weighted. It's hollow. You can hear the hollow. The old one that we had on the old car, we did have lead in it. It was about 80, 90 pounds, 100 pounds-ish. Really difficult to maneuver, really difficult to move. But this one is normal weight. So we got all this weight over here. So, and these wings do give downforce, guys. They absolutely give downforce. The higher that you get them up, the more leverage it has. So the better the air is too. So if it's higher, closer to the roof, it's going to be in more clean air. So it should give more downforce. It's going to be pushing on the same bars in the back. Let me show you. Y'all seen before, but Brandon, he put some awesome weight mounts back here. Let me show you what he did back here. Let me get this deck lid off, and then we're going to start cramming the weight in. All right, guys. So here is the one side. So I've already got 4 plates on there. So that is about 230, 240 pounds. And the way Brandon did this is a lot nicer than I've done it in the past. I've used weight clamps. But he actually put the bar in there, and then he welded this to the bar and basically put the big washer on it so that it's got like a nice stand, right? So basically we'll stack these weights in here, and then we're good to go. And then we'll have to use smaller weights here in the middle just because of where the wing is. When he first did it, it actually worked out to where the big plates would actually fit in there too. But for the way it is now, with the wing, we just have to cut them down, which I've got some smaller ones, which these are, that one right there is, I think it's 25 or 30 pounds. So I've got several of those. So let's put these other ones in here, and then we'll see what we got. All right, guys. Well, I guess we're about done for the night. Just got a couple more things to do, but the weight is in the car. Doesn't look like a lot, but it's quite a bit. So we got probably, there's probably 550 to 600 pounds back here in the back. And then I've also got 50 under the bumper. And those are the tube mounts. Can't really see it. There it is. Basically, it's the tube clamp. You can buy them off of any Summit, Jig, Speedway, all those places sell them. And essentially all it is it wraps around the tube, and it has a 1/2-inch stud that comes out. So each one of those on the bottom has got, one's 26 pounds and one's 30 pounds. So these bad boys, we got some weight. So all we got to do now is take the wing, and we're going to take it loose and it does not have holes drilled yet. So we're going to make it a little higher. And then when we get that a little higher, then essentially under the back of the car, that's going to be done. Actually, that's going to be it. I decided I'm going to leave the wing angle or the bar angle where it's at. So we got anti-squat. We do need to get under there and adjust the shocks. All right, now the shocks are just full loose, so I can see how much it was going to compress. And you got to have enough shock to actually be able to spring the weight back up. That's where one of the things, I shouldn't say shock spring, that's where people mess up all the time, is they get a bunch of weight in the car, and then the bunch of weight's in the car, and then they just don't have enough spring to support it. And it just crushes it and makes a problem. So I think we're good here. If testing doesn't go well for us next weekend with this, then we'll make some changes, probably take some bar changes. I'm hoping we can get out there and make this thing drive off. We got some data from the old car. I know it's a different car, but it's wheel speed data. So I'm trying to build a traction control graph to make that work. And then hopefully this thing will go ahead and take off and get on out there and work for us. All right, guys, well, that's going to be it. So that's what you do. That's what I do. Going from radials to no prep, backside. If it's front side no prep, it's a little bit different. I'll go over that maybe in another video at some other time. Show you exactly what we do from backside no prep to front side no prep, because this is different, guys. All right, guys, comment, like, and subscribe. We will see y'all later.